So let's start with our motivation. And again, really appreciating our life, appreciating the possibilities we have with our life. Realizing the preciousness of having met the Dharma, and the preciousness of our having interest in the Dharma. The ability to hear teachings, to have the time to think about them, practice them, meditate on them. So really appreciating this situation and have a very strong determination to make use of it, to not waste it. And of course, the best way to make use of it is to generate bodhicitta and wisdom, to amass the two collections of merit and insight, so that we can attain the two Buddha bodies, the form body and the truth body. And so for that long-term purpose, we're here this evening. So last week we were talking about the beings of the three capabilities and how one person starts out as the lower, the initial capability, then progresses to the middle, then progresses to the advanced capability. Okay, so the person of the initial capability, the inferior, there's two kinds of people of the initial capability. The inferior one is the person who's just involved with the happiness of this life. Yeah, and that's what most people do. Okay, so that's not really even a Dharma practitioner. The person of initial capability who is the better one is the person who cares about future lives. Yeah. And the person of middling capability is tired of the merry-go-round of good future lives, wants to get out of samsara and attain liberation. And then the person of advanced capability sees the disadvantages of both samsara and one's own personal state of peace, personal nirvana. And so they aspire for full awakening, whereby they can eliminate both sets of obscurations from the mind and guide sentient beings and work for their benefit in the best way. Okay? So, we may wonder about the purpose. Why have these three capabilities? Yeah, and it's actually a quite skillful means to structure the path, because it lets you know when to practice what. Otherwise, we can receive so many different teachings on so many different topics, and we can't put them all together. So this way enables us to put them all together into one person's practice. And it also enables us to see what we do at the beginning, what in the middle, what at the end. Yeah. And so then we may have the long-term motivation of bodhicitta, the aspiration to actually of an advanced practitioner, And we keep that in the back of our mind, but we know that at this present time we really need to work on the practices of the initial capacity practitioner, because that's the level we're on. Okay? So, having it structured like this is quite wise, because if a person who's actually of the middle scope hears the teachings of the initial scope, there's no problem, because they're reviewing something they already know, strengthening that, and then hearing their middle capacity teachings. Someone who's advanced capacity, if they study the teachings in common with the initial and the middle, then that's fine too, because they're reviewing those things that are in common with the people who just do that level. And then they, of course, practice their own level. For the initial initial capacity being, having it structured like this is kind of prevents them from getting egotistical or putting the cart before the horse. Yeah. So if your initial capability, you do that practice, because if you jump over that and you start doing the middle or advanced practice, what happens is you often get confused and can generate strange ideas, and then even what you were developing at the initial level doesn't get properly developed and can backslide, and you don't develop anything at the middle or the advanced, because you've gone into calculus before you know how to add. Yeah. And I was thinking about this afternoon, because I've seen so often in the West, the way Dharma is presented now is, just present everything all at once, give everybody access to the highest teachings. And of course, everybody thinks that they're the most advanced practitioner. But then what I've seen happen with some people is they do that and they jump into the high, the advanced practices. But, a few things happen. One is their daily life behavior doesn't fit that of a Dharma practitioner. They know lots of words, they know lots of concepts, they can talk about these high practices, but their daily life behavior doesn't match even the elementary level of conduct for a Buddhist practitioner. So I've noticed that happen. And a second thing I've noticed happen is, even if the people, their conduct is good, they get into these advanced practices very quickly, and thinking that they're a very advanced practitioner. And then after a while, they say, I'm not getting anywhere. This is all useless. I have all these precepts. I have all these commitments. I can't keep any of them. I don't know why I took them in the first place. And I don't want to have them anymore. And then that kind of attitude creates a whole lot of negative karma. Yeah. Whereas somebody who really kind of goes slowly and, builds the foundation before they build the walls, before they put on the roof, that kind of person tends to be more stable in their practice over a period of time. But, this is the thing nowadays. We all want to do the advanced practices, right? Because we're advanced practitioners. So we want the highest thing, the most esoteric thing. Yeah. And then when somebody comes along and says, well, what about the 10 non-virtues and stopping those? We just, that's baby stuff, Who does that? Don't tell me to stop lying. I'm practicing. And they're really kind of, it's sad. It's sad to see that happen. Yeah. So I think it's very helpful. We really need to see what our capability is, what level we're at, and practice that way. And, if you go first grade, second grade, third grade in order, some things you can go through quicker than others, but at least you're doing them in order. So by the time you get to calculus, you know what it's about. Okay? So there's nothing really to compete with other people about, who's on what level and who's received what kind of teachings. Dharma isn't a competition to have more initiations than other people, or higher teachings than other people. If we're going to compete about anything, we should compete about being humble. Yeah, who's the humblest practitioner who doesn't brag about their things? Yeah. Okay, so now we're going into, another section. We already talked about, how to structure the meditation session and how to do it on the, how to rely on a spiritual master. Then we talked about the precious human life, and then these three capability beings as ways to really make use of our precious human life and progress along the path. And now the next section is how to actually take full advantage of it. Okay, and so this is training in the path of the initial, the middle, and the advanced level practitioner. So then of the actual training of the initial level practitioner, of course, is the one we start with. Okay, and so the first outline there has to do with generating concern for future lives. Okay, so here I just want to talk about this for a minute, because we always hear, Buddhism there's this thing, Buddhism teaches you to be in the here and the now, and you should be here now. Yeah, remember that book? And, take out all thoughts of hopes and fears about the future. So then when you hear that the initial level practitioner aspires for a good rebirth, and the middle one aspires for liberation, and the advanced one aspires for Buddhahood, then we say, but wait a minute, why all this aspiration? Why all these goals? Shouldn't we just be enjoying the present moment? Yeah? So I hear people say that, my teachers have never spoken about this thing of just be in the present moment. They don't have that kind of vocabulary. But some teachers do. And then the people, why do I aspire for things? And then it's just goals, like, things to live up to. I should just be in the present moment. Or then they hear about, the way to attain a good future life. Yeah, abandoning negativities, creating virtue. And they say, why are we aspiring for a good future life? That's taking us out of the present moment. Shouldn't we just be in the present moment? Okay, so the thing is, first of all, the present moment is that long. So getting too attached to the present moment, like I've got to be in the present moment, and getting attached to it isn't the appropriate attitude. But, when we look in our minds, what keeps us from paying attention from moment to moment? What prevents us from paying attention to our own experience, or paying attention to the Dharma moment to moment? Yeah. Isn't it usually attachment, anger, and confusion, with sometimes jealousy and pride mixed in? usually it's some afflicted state of mind, and then we're wrapped up in the story we're thinking about having to do with that affliction. Yeah, I want to be in the present moment with my boyfriend lying on the beach with this, the sun like this and this like this. We develop a whole scene. Yeah, but we're totally, we're in Never Never Land, aren't we? Isn't that where Peter Pan went? Yeah, Never Never Land. Yeah. And so we're completely into our own fantasy world. Yeah, attachment takes us quite out of what our experience is. And so do anger and resentment. Yeah, we're holding on to things from the past. Anxiety takes us out of our experience. We're, making stories, anxious stories about the future. So the idea is that when you care about your future life, then you want to get your ethical conduct, clean and precise. Yeah, because your ethical conduct is the chief determining factor, what kind of rebirth you're going to have. In order to get our ethical conduct, in some kind of cleaned up way, so we're not perpetually acting like a jerk, we have to subdue our confusion, attachment, and anger. So here you see that by caring about our future lives, it helps us overcome our attachment, anger, and ignorance in this life, right now. Because we have to be free of those things in order to keep good ethical conduct, in order to have a good rebirth. Are you following me? Yeah? Okay. So it's interesting that aspiring for a good life actually helps you be in the present moment more clearly. But then we also have to understand how to be in the present moment. Yeah. Because it doesn't just mean every sense pleasure we have really relishing it here and now. Yeah. I think I've told you sometimes I've gone to places, where people kind of share their present moment experiences of, watching a child laugh or tasting a chocolate-covered almond, or, looking at the sunrise, or any of, these kind of things, and how kind of peaceful it was or exhilarating it was. And they use that as examples of being in the present moment. But my question is, how does putting your attention on those things get you any closer to liberation and awakening? Yeah? Especially if you're just enjoying those things with some kind of attachment in your mind. Now, it doesn't get you any closer. Yeah. If we're in the present moment, using our wisdom, being aware of impermanence, being aware of the nature of dukkha, the unsatisfactory nature of each moment, being aware of causal dependence, yeah, how each moment is a result of the previous things and how it gives rise to future things. If we're aware in each moment of the kindness of living beings and generate the wish to benefit them. Yeah, so those ways of being in the present moment get you closer to liberation and enlightenment. But just enjoying what you happen to be experiencing in this moment, does it create virtue? I mean, this is the standard we have to use. Does it create virtue? Or is it just paying attention to something that's nice that is transient, come, come, go, go. Okay? So one of the meditations that really helps us to overcome a lot of this, the mental chatter in our mind that takes us away from being in the Dharma in the present moment. Yeah. One of the meditations that is very helpful in that regard is the meditation on impermanence and death. Yeah. And it's so important that they say if you don't remember death in the morning, you waste the morning. If you don't remember it in the afternoon, you waste the afternoon. And if you don't remember it in the evening, you waste the evening. Yeah. And then some people are going to go, impermanence and death? Why do I have to think about those things? That's awful. I don't want to think about that. It's so depressing. It's so anti-life. It takes the joy out of everything. It's horrible. I don't want to hear about death and impermanence. Yeah? Is there one part of your mind that says that? Yeah? That says, tell me about light and love and bliss instead. You know, not death and impermanence, not the nature of suffering. I don't want to hear that. Okay. But actually, my experience is when I meditate on death, every day, and really, when I'm really into that meditation, my life becomes so peaceful. So peaceful. There's no depression in it at all. If anything, my life feels really vibrant. And it's very peaceful because when I think about death, it's very clear that it's important not to waste my time. And what are some of the biggest ways I waste my time? Getting mad at people. Yeah, I can spend a lot of time being angry at somebody. And like I talked about in the retreat, when you have the judge and the jury and the prosecutor all inside yourself, and I can rerun that trial again and again and convict that person again and again, and then I come up with new charges to indict them with, and I remember things they did to me 20 years ago, and I add that on, and and I can spend a lot of time on that. And what's the benefit? Misery. That's the only result of it, because when we are stuck in that critical, judgmental mind, we're actually quite miserable. Yeah. I can also spend a lot of time in attachment too. Yeah. Oh, let's see. In 2 months, I'm going to Singapore. Oh, there's this really nice restaurant that this family took us to. Yeah? Do you remember that one? Yeah? And the food was so good, and I really like that family. And it's so nice in Singapore. I mean, well, it's kind of hot, but, you kind of manage it. And the food's good. People treat me nicely. As long as I don't have too many interviews where they complain and tell me their relationship problems, I'm okay. Yeah, those relationship problems, that's too much. Yeah. And I can do this whole, kind of thing. Oh, Singapore this, Singapore that, Singapore the other thing. Yeah. Singapore, the place where the aircon works. Sometimes too much. You're freezing, and spend a whole long time, in attachment to Singapore. Forgetting that right now you can't even breathe the air there. The pollution problems from the fires in Indonesia are so bad. But in your fantasy, you forget those things, yeah. But so we can spend a lot of time just on attachment, spend time on jealousy. Oh, they always interview that Dharma teacher in the Buddhist magazines. They never interview me. Why not? I'm just as capable as that guy. Why they interview him and interview me? Anyway, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I know what I'm talking about. What kind of Buddhist teacher is he? I'm a much better one. Which shows exactly how you're a worse one. That kind of attitude. Yeah, but again, you could go off on a whole thing about jealousy. So, and spend a lot of time on this, can't you? Yeah. Yeah. So we each have our own thing that we're jealous of or attached to or angry at. Yeah. And of course we think the whole world sees things as we do, but so one of you can spend hours thinking about what your brother said to you 15 years ago, and I don't really care, because my problem is my brother and what he said to me last year. Yeah. So we all always think, our thing is the biggest. So just waste so much time and not come out with anything really of any value at all. Okay? But when we think about death and impermanence and realize that we don't have a long time to live, and that at the end of our life, our whole life appears to be as long as a finger snap or a flash of lightning. And I can understand that, because I remember when I was very little, 1 year took a really long time. From one birthday to the next birthday, close to infinity, before that next birthday came. Do you remember that? Oh, it took so long from one birthday to the next. Now, it seems like we're just having birthdays every couple of months. It's like, it's my birthday already? How did that happen? And I remember my parents used to say, oh, when you get older, time flies by. And I thought, oh, that's another one of those stupid things adults say, Actually, it's true. Yeah, do you feel that time is going much quicker now than it did when you were younger? Much, much quicker. Yeah, it was funny, even today at lunch, when I was sitting with John and Mary Jo, and we were watching the film of pouring the concrete, and I commented to Mary Jo, oh, those two old guys in their 70s pouring the concrete, and she said, yeah, we're old guys too. And I went, whoops, kind of. Well, I'm 65. Yeah, I'm almost there in my 70s. But it's like, your feeling is you're still in your 30s somewhere. And, I look at people who are in their 60s, and in my mind, I say they're my father's age. Yeah, when they're actually my age. How is that? Yeah. So it does go very quickly. So really thinking of, death helps us to think, how can I really make my life meaningful? because I don't have forever to live. And it's going very quickly. And I can't go back and rerun anything. If I waste my time, that time is gone. And there's no way to go back and say, well, actually, I wish I didn't spend all that time reading that magazine. I could have used it in a different way, because, that time at that point is gone. Yeah, the karma's created, there's no time machine going back. So this meditation is quite helpful for that, and for really helping us get our priorities clear. What is really important? At the time I die, and I don't know when that's going to be, how will I want to look back on my life? Yeah. How will I want to look back on my life? Now, I've never heard of anybody, at the time of death regretting that they didn't work more overtime. So maybe I shouldn't push myself so hard to work more overtime. Yeah, I don't even have a job, so I don't have that problem. Yeah, but what is really important to do in our lives? And so, it's a strange kind of thing, because even here, I feel like, okay, it's part of my Dharma practice to be a steward to the land and to take care of the environment and the beings in it. And then sometimes I see my mind get too solid and concrete about doing that. Like, it has to be this way, it has to be that way. And then I remember, 15 years ago, before I even knew this place existed, I didn't care that knapweed grew on this area. Yeah, and I didn't care that the forest was overcrowded with, too many trees. So, I'd say, oh, well, maybe it's just because now I know and now I consider it mine that, instead of just being a relaxed steward of the land, I get a bit too frenetic. Yeah, and like, okay, chill out. Yeah, don't have to do everything all at once. It doesn't need to be perfect. Are you getting what I'm saying? Yeah? So, the meditation on death really makes me think, what's important. And it always comes back to the mind. What is important? I can work my whole life to get rid of the knapweed. And when I die, who knows if anybody else is going to continue on getting rid of the knapweed? They may let it all grow back. So if I'm going to work at getting rid of knapweed, I need to make sure I have a good motivation, because overcoming the knapweed is not the goal. It's having a good motivation while I'm trying to be a good steward to the land. Okay? So, whatever action we're doing, we always think the action is the thing that's so important, and it's really our mind state. Yeah? So it's, you can pick anything you're doing that looks virtuous, and, I need to finish my Nundro practice before I die, Let's do those prostrations. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. How many did I get? Oh, only that many? Okay, yeah, now I accomplished this many. How many? Now if I do that many in those many days, then it'll take me that long to finish it. Yeah, I think I can do that. And you have it all planned out. Is that a virtuous mind? No, it's a mathematical mind. It's not even mathematical, it's arithmetic. Yeah, it's 4th grade arithmetic. So, we have to make sure when we're doing our Nanda practices that the mind's in virtue. And how many we do, and finishing is not the point of it. Although then we go to the opposite extreme, I won't mention names, of, are you volunteering for that? Okay. Oh, yeah. Of people who take almost a year to finish their Vajrasattva, even when they're in retreat. So, you have to somehow be, what's realistic about this whole thing. Okay, so we're getting into this meditation now on death and impermanence. Okay, so it starts out with contemplating the 6 disadvantages of not remembering death, and then the 6 advantages of remembering death, and then the 9-point death meditation, and then we usually get into another meditation on death, imagining that you're getting the diagnosis and so on. Okay, so let's start out with the disadvantages of not remembering death. Yeah, and so if you tend not to remember death, then these disadvantages may apply to you. Okay, so first one is we don't remember to practice the Dharma. Yeah, when we don't remember death, then we get really busy with all of our worldly activities. I have to go here, I have to go there, I have to do this, I have to do that. And so Dharma gets put at the bottom of the list and we never get around to it. Yeah, of course, if we remember death, then we really see the importance of practicing Dharma. Because practicing Dharma means creating virtue, abandoning non-virtue. Okay. Second disadvantage is even if we're mindful of the Dharma, we don't really practice it. We procrastinate. Yeah, so the first one is you're not mindful of it and you just don't practice, period. This one is your mindfulness, but this class is going on next week, so I'm tired tonight. We'll go to the Dharma teaching next week. Yeah, and I know I'm in a good habit from doing my practice, at the Abbey twice a day. Just got done with a week-long retreat. But, I'm going home now, and there's all the laundry to do, and I'll get up early tomorrow morning and practice. But tonight, I'm going to give myself a little reward and not practice. That's strange, isn't it? We reward ourselves by losing out on the opportunity to do something wholesome. That's nutty. Okay, third disadvantage is even if we practice, we don't do so purely because our practice gets very mixed with the 8 worldly concerns. Okay, so we try and practice, and we start to do practice, but while we're doing our practice, our mind is distracted by the 8 worldly concerns. Yeah? So you're doing walking meditation, and you make sure you do your walking meditation near that very good-looking guy. And, or you, you study something, and then you become quite arrogant about it. Yeah. And, now I'm going to become the such and such instructor at the Dharma Center. And, I mastered this subject. Everybody will know I'm a master of it. And they'll come ask me for teachings. And I'll be really good. Yeah. So we practice, but not purely. So let's go look a little bit deeper at our old friends, the 8 worldly concerns. You know, when I started out, Lama Zopa, I mean, he would teach these again and again and again. And everybody talks about, I wasn't there at the 6th meditation course, but apparently for the whole month he talked about the 8 worldly concerns. I was there for, I think, the 8th one, and he talked about that at least half of the time, you know. But I'm really glad, and I mean, it's painful to hear and look at your life and see what you're doing in your life, but I am so glad now that he really emphasized that, because it was my beginning time in Dharma, and what you learn at the beginning is very important, you know? And so he really imprinted very deeply, you know, what is the difference between, what is the line that discriminates worldly action from Dharma action? Okay? It's the presence or absence of the 8 worldly concerns. It's the presence or absence of the motivation that is working only for the happiness of this life. Yeah? So if something is motivated by the 8 worldly concerns, it may look like the Dharma on the outside, but it's not the Dharma, because we're not creating constructive karma. We're creating destructive karma because the mind is under the influence of affliction. Yeah, so he really hammered this into us. And like I say, I'm very glad, because I meet some people now who have been practicing for years. They've never heard of the 8 worldly concerns. And I think, wow, how do you really know what's Dharma and what's not Dharma if you don't have this schema in front of you to use to check your mind? Yeah. So let's look at these 8. They come in 4 pairs, and just, you know, when you hear them, think about, ask yourself, how much is my life involved in these? Okay. So the first pair has to do with money and material possessions. So feeling very delighted when we get money, when we have material possessions, when we have nice stuff. You know, people remember our birthday and give us presents. We, you know, live in a very nice house. We have money and possessions, you know, wealth, yeah? And feeling very happy about it, attached to it, basically, okay? And then the other part of that pair is feeling quite dejected when we don't have the material possessions that we want. Yeah. And you know, we don't have what we want. So we may all say, oh, I'm not attached to my material things. Yeah, I mean, when I met the Dharma, that's what I thought, you know, because my generation, we just all wore old clothes and everything like that. But I was attached to my old clothes, you know, because I think I've told you in those days, you know, the jeans didn't come with ready-made holes the way they do now. So we had to spend time making our own holes. And you couldn't just cut your jeans. That was like, no. You have to wear them out and then find some really cool kind of fabric that you patched your jeans with. And then, you know, you could have some really cool jeans with really nice patches that everybody kind of looked at. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was old clothes, but it was a certain style of old clothes that we were quite attached to. Okay? So, you know, it wasn't a cocktail dress, but attachment is attachment. It doesn't matter what it is. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, wealth, material possessions. Yeah. So, your parents may want a yacht, you may want a yurt, but attachment, when we're clinging to something, attachment is attachment. Okay, then that one, okay, yeah, we have some attachment there, but another one that actually is more difficult than that is the one about being praised. When people praise us, when people compliment us, when people approve of what we're doing, we feel so good, don't we? Yeah? People say, oh, you're really smart, or you're really good looking, or you're really athletic, or, whatever it is, and oh, they're praising me, and your family approves of what you're doing. Yeah, so your parents always brag about you to their friends. They're so proud of you. Yeah, and your friends approve of what you're doing, and they praise you, and you have, a partner who says, I love you, you're the best one in the world, nobody has ever been better than you, and you're just eating it up. Yeah, so that's one half of that one. Yeah, you remember that? Mm-hmm. And then the other half is being dejected when we hear criticism and disapproval. When our family looks at us and says, you got that education and look what you're doing now. Why aren't you out working? You could have a good job, make a lot of money, make the family proud of you. What in the world are you doing? We spend all that money sending you to school so you would have a good life, and look what you're doing. You just want to sit and watch your belly button, and you call that meditation. And then all of a sudden inside we start shaking, like someone doesn't approve of me, someone's criticizing me. They don't think what I'm doing is good. They think I'm bad, I'm misdirected. Yeah. Or even you get yourself here, yeah, and you're kind of, okay, well, I don't have to listen to my parents right now. Thank goodness the Abbey has rules about how often you can call them. So, yeah. But then somebody here at the Abbey says, look at the way you wash that dish. That's not washing the dish. You're spreading germs. Go back and wash that dish again. Yeah. Or, you vacuum that floor? That floor is filthy. Yeah. What'd you do? You were out in the forest and brought in all your stuff? Yeah. Or even somebody doesn't do it like that. They say, oh, let's go work in the garden today. I don't want to work in the garden. You don't want to work in the garden? Well, that's too bad. At the Abbey, we do what we're told to do. Yeah, see how they all laugh? Well, I can wish. At the Abbey, you do not what you're told to do, but what you feel like, but you pretend to be doing what you're told to do. And yeah. And then, but somebody catches you. Yeah. Yeah. Like, busted in the forest. You've been out here 45 minutes and you're already taking a break. But. Okay. And then all of a sudden the same thing comes up. Oh, somebody's criticizing me. They don't think I'm competent to wash dishes. Oh, no. If I can't wash a dish, maybe they're going to kick me out. Yeah. Anyway, then there's all these teachings, by Jeffrey Hopkins. Yeah, I can't understand what he's saying, except when he says vase or table. I understand that. But what's he talking about? This table is created by a latency on the mind basis of all? What? I'm too stupid to understand this. And everybody else thinks I'm too stupid too. Yeah. Okay, so, we're very attached to our self-image. We don't want people to criticize us. We don't want people to disapprove of us. Yeah, we want everybody to like us. And nobody's supposed to notice when we make a mistake, because we don't. And even if we do, they're not supposed to notice. And even if they notice, they're supposed to forgive me. But they're not supposed to point it out to me. Attendance at morning meditation. Looks like the X's outnumber the blank spaces. What's going on? No, you can't say that. You have to say, have you been sick, dear? And then you think, oh, she's giving me a way out. Yes, I've been very sick. That's why I miss so many meditation sessions. When actually you were oversleeping. But, that's kind of being sick, isn't it? So, welcome. Please come sit down. So, we're very attached to what people think of us. We don't like disapproval. We want people to think well of us. And that's sometimes even more important to us than having the material stuff, isn't it? What people think of us. Because the thing is, if people don't think well of me, what happens if they're right? Yeah? This person calls me an idiot. Yeah? What are you doing during Dharma practice? What kind of baloney is that? Yeah? Don't you know that money is what makes the world go round? What's this Dharma drama? Yeah. And we go, but please like me, please approve of me. Yeah, we all want mom and dad to approve of us. We want our friends to approve of us. Yeah. And then we do backflips so that they do. Yeah. And we try and become what we think they think we should become. Just so we get praised. It's a big one, isn't it? This attachment to praise and approval. Then the next set in the four pairs of eight worldly concerns is attachment to a good reputation and aversion to having a bad one. Yeah. So the praise and blame one is like what people think about you, how they act towards you on an individual level. Yeah. The reputation one, the fame one, is what your image in society is. Okay. So we all want to have a good image. We all want to be famous. Whatever, maybe not too famous. Yeah. But we want to have a good name in whatever we do. Yeah. And so, we want to have a good reputation. We want, when we walk by, people to go, oh, look, who walked by? Did you know this? And then we can. Yeah. So, we want a good reputation. We don't want a bad reputation. We don't want to be known as a loser or a flake. Yeah. We don't want to be known as stupid, as incompetent. Yeah. we want to be known as the best. Whatever it is that we're into, we want to be very good at it and be known as the best, so that the whole group of people in that field or whatever it is would look at us and say, wow. And then we know that we're worthwhile human beings because we're famous. Okay, so we can spend our whole life trying to get a good reputation and being very attached to a reputation. And the thing is, when you die, what happens to your reputation? Yeah, right. It goes on the obituary. Meanwhile, you're reborn in who knows what kind of rebirth. So you may have a fantastic obit, but you're screaming in pain in your next rebirth because of the negative karma you created. So these two actually, the one of attachment to praise, aversion to blame, attachment to good reputation, aversion to being notorious. Yeah, these two sets are very, very deep. And they even say for meditators, a meditator may go far away to do retreat, and they may eat like really lousy food and not have very much money or good place to live. But in the mind, maybe all those people who I left are saying, wow, what a good meditator she is. She's so renounced. She's off doing retreat in this very distant place. And so, meanwhile, like we've made sure we have all our nice stuff at our retreat place, but we look kind of renounced, and then we're just imagining all the people in town who are praising us and admiring us for what a good Dharma practitioner we are. Or whatever field you're in, wanting a good reputation. And so, you look, some people spend their whole lives, the whole life is spent trying to have a good reputation, worrying about a bad one, or trying to receive praise and approval and avoid blame and disapproval. Or some people the whole life spent trying to accumulate money and possessions and not lose them. Yeah?
They have this, the whole industry is based on this brand equity.
Yeah.
Everything in the product. How valuable is the brand itself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And you become a brand, don't you? Yeah.
Package yourself.
Yeah, you package yourself, exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And then inside we feel like inauthentic, but we're so terrified of not being what we think other people think we should be. Okay, and then the fourth set in the 8 worldly concerns is attachment to pleasant sense objects and aversion to unpleasant ones. Okay, so we all like to see pretty things. Yeah, we don't want to see ugly things. So we really try and structure our environment all the time so we see pretty things. Yeah, and attractive people. We don't want to go in the old folks' home where all those people who were 70 or 80, who were 5 years older than us, but they're old and we're still young, where they live, because they're like at the end. So we want to see nice things, we want to hear nice things. Music, people are very attached to music. Yeah, I want to hear this kind of music, not that, Don't like our parents' music, don't like your kids' music, but my generation music, yeah, we want to listen to that one. Okay, we want to hear nice sounds. Smells, Yeah, nice smells. Yeah, all that, aftershave and perfume and everything that everybody else gags on around you, because, people come here doused in perfume and aftershave, and a number of people are sensitive to that kind of, strong smells. But these people don't care, and other people really like it. Oh, it just smells so good. This is great. You don't like going to India, where sometimes the street smells like a toilet, because it is one. Yeah. So we don't like that. Good taste, boy. Yeah. Spend a long time talking about food, really making food exactly how we like it. The right kind of food, the right kind of seasoning. I've been actually meaning to comment about the Abbey's food for a while. But I might lose my reputation if I do that. Yeah, but we like certain kinds of food. We don't like other kinds of food. So you have to serve the kind of food I like with exactly the amount of seasoning I like. Not too much seasoning, I won't eat it. Not too little seasoning, I won't eat it. Perfect amount of seasoning. Okay, and perfect. It can't be too well cooked, and it can't be undercooked, because if it is, and we're out at a restaurant, I'm going to send it back, and I'm going to make a big fuss in the restaurant. Call the waiter, waitress over. I wanted a rare steak, dripping with blood, and look what you gave me. Take this back. Cook it more. Have you ever been out to eat with people who make a big stink in a restaurant? Yeah, maybe you were one of them sometime. Oh no, I shouldn't say that. I'm sorry, you'll feel criticized. Yeah, but we want the food exactly the way we want it. Okay, so sights, sounds, smells, taste, touches, temperature control. Okay, it's too hot in this building. Yeah, it's too cold in this building. Yeah, I know I just said it was too hot 5 minutes ago, but I was having a hot flash then. I'm not having it now, and it's too cold now. Turn up the heat, Yeah, and the bed's too hard. Yeah, I want a softer bed. The bed's too soft, my back hurts. Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. I want a low bed. The bed's too low. It's too cold close to the floor. I want a higher bed. Yeah. The bed's too high. It's uncomfortable when I have to get up in the middle of the night. The bed's too high. Yeah. I want the right level bed. Yeah. And I want certain blankets. Yeah. How come at the Abbey every year when we change rooms, I can't take my blankies with me? I like my blankies. Yeah. And we like nice, smooth things to touch, right? Especially other people's bodies. Yeah. And so we're totally glued to sense pleasure. Yeah. Very attached to it, and we get really bent out of shape when we don't get what we want, or when it's an unpleasant sensory experience. And we let everybody know we're unhappy. Right? So that they should know in the future how to take care of me, because I'm the center of the universe. Right? Anybody have these problems with these 8 worldly concerns? Yeah? We do, don't we? We can spend our whole life revolving around these things. I want this, I don't want that. I want this, I don't want that. I got this, but it wasn't good enough. Give me something else. You know? On and on and on. And yet, does any of it ever make us happy? You know? Do you ever have enough material, possessions and money? Do you ever have enough praise and approval? Are you ever famous enough? Yeah. Do you ever have enough love and appreciation? Do you ever have, enough sensory paradise? No, we could always use some more. So we're never satisfied. Yeah? And our mantra becomes more and better. More and better. I want more and better. Yeah, and that's the purpose. That becomes the purpose of our life. And who cares how we treat other people? You know, if we're trying to get more and better, we will do anything to get it. Yeah, won't we? If we want something, we will lie to get it. We will connive to get it. We will pester and nag. We will do anything. Yeah, we will put on the mask of all seasons and be a chameleon. Did I say it right? A chameleon. We become whoever somebody else wants us to be. You know, whatever value system you have, yeah, I believe in that. That's fine. Just please like me. You know, you believe in something else? Yeah, I believe in that, but please like me. Yeah? So we get totally lost trying to become what we think they think we should be. Yeah? And, are never satisfied. Never satisfied. And then we get all the things we don't like. Cold food. Too much salt. Not enough salt. Yeah. We complain. We make the people around us unhappy until we get what we want. Yeah? And for what purpose? You know, what's the long-term benefit of that? Yeah? When we die, does any of that come with us? Yeah? Like you were just saying, your reputation, written in a great obit, where are you to enjoy it? Yeah? When you die, the whole family is there. They're such wonderful. They praise you, because you have to praise a person when they die. You can't. You criticize them when they're alive, and you praise them after they die. Right? Isn't it? Isn't it when people talk about the dead? Oh, they never had an angry thought in their mind. They were always so generous. But while they were alive, oh, you're in such a bad mood all the time, leave me alone, and you're so stingy. Yeah, but, when they're dead, oh, so people praise us after we're dead. We have, they praise us. Yeah? Are you around to enjoy all the praise? No? Yeah? They buy us a nice casket, beautiful casket, expensive casket, because they feel guilty. But they don't say that. They say it's to honor and respect us. And then they have a nice casket. It's all kind of satin, And you're lying there in your casket. They make you up. So you look so beautiful. Yeah? And people walk by. Oh, she looks so serene, so beautiful. Yeah? Where are you to enjoy the praise? Yeah? Who cares whether we look beautiful in the casket or not? Or whether we have an expensive casket or not? Yeah, we're not even around to care. Yeah? And yet, so you see what I'm getting at? We're so attached to these things, attached to four things, aversion to the other four. And at the end of the day, it's all like last night's dream. Come, go, go. Have it, don't have it. You had a question?
Yes, I wanted to ask if illness and physical pain are also included
If what?
Illness
Mm-hmm.
and physical pain
Mm-hmm.
also included in this last one, unpleasant.
Yeah, illness and physical pain, yes, are included. Yeah, and this is the thing, because illness and pain definitely are going to come in our life, but how do we relate to them? Yeah, can we transform them? Can we transform our mind into something, where we say, oh, I'm glad that hurt. I'm using up some old karma. Now that karma can't ripen. Or are we going to go, oh, it hurts so much. Give me some more attention. Come on, I need more attention. Ah! Yeah. And I'm going to dominate everybody around. I'm going to make the whole, group of people think that I'm the most important. So they're all running around. Oh, she's sick. Let's get her. She needs this and she needs that and this and that. She doesn't like this. Some people, when they get sick, they're in pain. Oh, it's a great attention getter. Boy. Yeah. So it becomes just 8 worldly concerns. Yeah. Yeah. And always complaining. Some people, have you met people? Every time you meet them, they're complaining about their health. Yeah. Like, oh, this hurts. Oh, that hurts. Oh. I mean, we all have bodies that hurt, don't we? Some more, some less, but how much are we going to make a big deal out of a painful body? Okay. Other questions, comments? Yeah.
Someone asked, wouldn't a kind of practice focusing on present moment experience naturally lead to an awareness of impermanence because we see the fleeting nature of these experiences?
Okay. So if you're somebody who's astute, focusing on the present moment, you focus on impermanence. But many people, focus on the present moment looking for pleasure. And they find the pleasure and they focus on the pleasure, and they don't necessarily, they may see the impermanence of the pleasure, but rather than react to that with wisdom, they react with, oh no, my pleasure's fading away. How can I cling on to it some more? Okay? So, it depends how people look at things, not just what they look at. Because you can look at some sentient being walking down the road with, a mind of desire or a mind of criticism, or a mind saying that's a sentient being who wants happiness and not pain. Okay, so it's how we look at things. Okay, so the whole point of all of this, we were talking about the disadvantages of not remembering death. Yeah, is that we don't practice Dharma, we don't even remember, or if we do remember, we put it off, and then if we do try and do it, we get really distracted by these 8. And so if you look, sometimes we can't get to the meditation cushion. It's often related to one of these 8 worldly concerns. Or even you get to the meditation cushion, you're trying to focus on something, your mind's like all over the place, thinking about these 8 worldly concerns. So it's really important. If we think about death, then it makes us ask ourselves, how important are these things? If I don't get them, how are they really the purpose of my life, where I should put so much energy and time into getting material possessions and money and praise and approval and reputation and good sense objects? Is that really where I want to put my time and energy? Or is there something else that's more valuable? And if I put my time and energy into seeking those things out, what kind of karma do I create? Am I kind to other people? Or do I often engage in all sorts of devious things to get what I want? Okay? So the whole idea is, with these 8 worldly concerns, to see how they take us away from the Dharma, and how if we remember impermanence and death, then we don't put so much attention on these 8 worldly concerns. They, in our list of things that are important, they go to the bottom. Because we see that transforming our mind, creating virtue, purification, developing wisdom, developing a kind heart, these kind of things are much more important than the 8 worldly concerns. So it's important when you're contemplating this, do not criticize yourself for having these kinds of attachments and aversions. It's not, oh, I'm a bad person because I'm attached to this and that. Don't judge yourself, because judging yourself just gets you stuck in another 8 worldly concern. But just step back and say, yeah, I'm really attached to that, but does it benefit me to be attached? How does that attachment harm me? Yeah. Or look how unhappy I get when I don't get, praise, or I don't get, I experience unpleasant things. What do? What kind of person do I become? Am I creating constructive karma or destructive karma? How do I affect the people around me? Yeah. And then we begin to ask ourselves, is it, really so important that I get so upset when I don't get what I want? If it has, if it makes me act or think in this kind of way that has all these disadvantages. Okay, so it's not a thing of I'm a good person, I'm a bad person. Don't judge yourself, but just does this attitude benefit me or does it harm me in the long term? Okay? Is this, at the end of my life, is it really important that I got this or I didn't get this? Or is it really not very important? Okay. Okay, so some meditation to do this week? Yes?